Imagine you wake up strapped in a chair and you don't know what's going on. You are going to have to defend yourself to an AI judge, and you're accused of murder. Boy, that doesn't sound good. However, the judge is played by Rebecca Ferguson. Ooh. Mercy stars Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson, and it tells the tale of a near future. A detective stands trial, accused of murdering his wife. He has 90 minutes to prove his innocence to the advanced AI judge he once championed before it determines his fate. Now, if you saw the trailers for this, it was an actual intriguing premise where you've kind of got to prove your innocence. You get the impression that, okay, it's going to be told all from this one room, and we're going to have to figure out what uh, um, this event is that made you think that I was murdering my wife. And it's a very good premise, and it does feel like this was meant for something that was streaming. It really does. It comes in at a shocking 23% on the tomato meter. Why? So a lot of critics are not liking this film. But I found myself oddly engaged with it. It took a while to get in, though. It was kind of like sitting in a hot tub where it's like, you got to ease yourself into this. You're spending a lot of time in the beginning here trying to establish the premise of him being stuck in a cell and having to try to defend himself because he at first resists this. And as you present evidence, you get this meter here that says your guilt is going down or up. And it's like, okay, I'm sort of on board with that idea, but Chris Pratt's character is not all that likable. And they were using that unlikability as kind of a mechanism to add texture to the story. And of course, then you're looking at Rebecca Ferguson as the judge, which I thought she did a good job, but it's also this kind of like, she doesn't really exist, right? What I found engaging about it, though, is if you've ever watched those cop cam videos of them making arrests, or those detective videos where they find disturbing evidence on the crime scene, it kind of uses that kind of a mechanism to solve the case. So it's a mystery. It's a mystery of who done it kind of thing, and he's got to try to prove his innocence here. Uh, and some aspects work, and the ending I found was good, but it felt like they were trying to shoehorn and make too many twists and turns that just felt a little, well, not that realistic. It took too many liberties with it, where you're just like, uh, I'm on board with this. This seems like a solid streaming experience because that's what it is. Don't you, it says see it in 3D. You don't need to see this movie in 3D. There's nothing about this that screams 3D. Nothing. Uh, but it's got some good elements in there that I think if you watch this on a streaming service, whatever one it's going to be on, I think you're going to find some enjoyment in it. It's going to be something along the along the lines of not the beekeeper, but it's kind of like there's something about it like that aspect where it's like I like this. It's not a great movie, but there's things in here that I like, and I don't think it warrants the 23% that it's getting on the tomato meter. But let's go over to my score sheet here for Mercy and start filling out some numbers. Acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points. Cinematography and score are out of 1. Acting, Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson carry this film because there are many scenes where it's just them. She's on the screen and he's in the chair, and if you don't buy into that scenario, then you're not going to like this movie. But because they are good enough, they do engage you enough. I got to award the acting 1.5 right there, straight up. Directing, um, the technical aspects, it's well shot. You can tell, though, that they were using AI, because it's about AI, to make some of the visual effects. And I have absolutely no problem with that because I think that's exactly where we're going in the future so that we can cut down costs so we don't have to go out on the street and blow something up. We don't have to go out and film a big truck crashing into a building because AI will create that for us. If you are uh, a, a detective with the eye to figure out where the CG and visual effects are, then you will be able to tell, no doubt about that. But if you're just a casual person on your phone, chatting with your friends, it's going to work for you. Maybe seeing it on the smaller screen. There's nothing 3D about this that you need to see. If you were on those big helicopter kind of rides, vehicles that they had, and you saw a POV of like that, then maybe that would be worthy of 3D. But nah, you don't need to see that. Story works because of that premise. I liked, but as I said, it's hard to like him because he's not a very likable character to begin with. And even towards the end, you still don't know if you like him. But it's kind of like you get enthralled with him uncovering the mystery and trying to solve the case, that it hooks you in like that. It keeps you engaged like that. So, and I don't like some of the rope a dope stuff that they were doing at the end where they're trying to like, oh no, this was the real thing that was going on. It'll work for some. It's not going to for others. Directing, I reserve the right to come back for that. Cinematography, I did like though. Cinematography was good. It felt like you really were flying around behind the helicopters and stuff. So I dug that. The scores, it was down the middle. So we're sitting at 5.5 right now for Mercy. You can see I'm not going to be as low as what people were saying on the tomato meter. But let's go back and see what some of the critics are saying. Movie Freak, 1 out of 4. At least it's funny. I do have to give Mercy that. Somebody who did like it, Movie Mom. The last part of the movie gets overcomplicated, cutting some logical corners, but Pratt is, as always, a likable presence, and we want to see him prove that he is innocent. Yes, you do. You do want to see him prove his case, right? And that's all we have for now. So, audience people, somebody who didn't like it, Mike, not sure what to say, but this movie sucked. Bad acting, predictable plot. Save yourself. Acceptable. Like they try to throw you a few red herrings in there, um, but it's kind of like, as I said, with one of those detective uh, YouTube videos, the true crime videos where they go to the case, the crime scene, and it's like you. I was enthralled by that. I was hooked. All right, John H. really liked it. This is the best movie I've seen since at least mid 2024. So that's quite the boast there, John. Uh, you didn't see Oppenheimer? Uh, wow. There's been some really other good movies out there. Warfare, Sinners. Come on, what's going on here? But let's see what some other audience says. Then we'll go back to some critics here. Good film, good story, a deep connection between human and AI. Yeah, no, I like this movie because it wasn't demonizing AI, right? Uh, the ending had two twist surprises, uh, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the refreshing take that AI is not all bad, that we can use the resources that AI has, the speed of which it can get into computer systems and just figure out things. Okay, this person is over there now, like using the GPS and stuff like that. Like that's what it was trying to do. It was trying to show you that you can use these tools of AI and help solve things. Like I'll give you an example. We just reviewed Silent Hill, and I asked it to pull up the synopsis of the game and how does it compare to the movie. Um, See, so AI is not all bad, and I like the message in this that you can use it to augment your abilities as opposed to it being, oh no, the judge was behind everything. AI is determined that everybody is bad, and it's like no, we don't need that storyline all the time, and Mercy doesn't take us down that route. So, one other notable critic that we should probably take a look at is Jeremy Johns. He says it's pretty mid at best, and we're talking at best. Well, that just goes to the aspect I was talking about it being kind of like a streaming type movie, right? Uh, it doesn't feel like this was necessarily something that needed to be theatrical. Soren Anderson, Seattle Times. He's down the middle, just like I am. And sigh. The futuristic aspect is chucked straight out the window when the picture concludes in a fistfight, and thus does originality expire. Well, yeah, as I said, the ending, it's a little bit, it does wrap itself up as a story. I just don't know if it's going to wrap itself up in the way that everybody will like. But it worked in the cohesiveness of what it was setting up, right? I found that it was worth the watch, and I would tell you this: out of Mercy and Return to Silent Hill, I would say watch Mercy. All right. So with that being said, let's wrap up this score and get us out of here for Mercy. The watchability factor is out of a possible 2 points, and if you are curious about the premise and you like Chris Pratt or you're a fan of Rebecca Ferguson, you're curious about this concept of AI and it being like the judge, jury, and executioner, check this movie out. Mercy, 6.5. I would say 6.5, worthy of a streaming effort, 100% for sure, just not a theatrical one. All right. As I said, we did react to and did a review for Return to Silent Hill. That's up on the channel as well. If you've liked what you've seen, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe.